Hi, Stuart.
Yes, hi. Please
Could you?
try not to move. You know, you're disrupting the whole class. As I say many times, everybody's sitting in their own living room, bedroom, kitchen, I don't know where. But, you know, this is a group of people that have come together from all over the world. And if somebody moves in any way, it's like sitting in a meditation hall where I tell people to sit still, don't move, because it really disrupts the whole flow of energy in the meditation class. So please try not to move. And if you have any little discomfort, just get centered below the navel, it'll go away. Does anyone, I'm sorry, there was a question.
Oh, yes, Stuart. Would you please speak more about the importance of consciously attaching to nothing but higher energy in the universe?
Well, it's a big subject. But, you know, look, it's the source of all energy, the source of all creative energy. It's really the energy that, that the world needs in order to function. And if we go to the very source of that energy, we draw down into us the nurturing, the nourishment that we need to really grow in our lives. It's, excuse me a second. It's too easy to get caught up in all the illusion in life. There's so much of it all the time. And it always evolves around money and glamour and relationships and who we think we are and who often we think we're not. And it's all an illusion. It's all transitional. You understand? It comes, it goes. As we live in the world. And it's really something that has no reality to it. It becomes real when you learn to use all of the Maya, as opportunities to grow spiritually. How can I use the money I make as an opportunity to grow spiritually? How can I take responsibility on myself with family, with friends, with business, with jobs? And where do I have to go to get the energy in order to do that responsibility without being sucked dry by it? The problem with most people is that they're so busy being busy that all of their projects are sucking their energy out of them. I know in my life, every time I get involved in some big project that I have to do, I know where to go to get the energy to do it. I know where to go to get the energy that will enable me to succeed at what I want to do without being attached to it, without having the success drain my lifeblood out of me. So there's attachment in the world, and most people are attached on that level. Money is a god, relationships is some kind of god, family is a god, and all of these things suck people dry because they're not connected to a higher source of energy in themselves, that they bring down to replace the energy they spend every day of their life. So it's really essential to be connected in both places. We're born on the earth to learn how to work out karma. We're born on the earth to learn how to succeed in our lives, to be happy people, to have love in our lives, to have joy in our lives. At the same time, we're born here to learn how to transform all of the material, lower levels of life into a spiritual life. That can only be done by building a system inside that is strong enough to connect with higher energy in the universe. And to me, that's the work of every person, whether they do this or they do something they have to do that builds that kind of system in themselves to connect with a higher force of energy in the universe. Remember Rudy saying, look, it's better to be attached to God. You got to be attached to something. You might as well be attached to the source of all creative energy in the universe and let that nourish you than to try to extract reality from illusion. That will enable you to enjoy the illusion, to enjoy money, success, material things, all this stuff that people worship here. It also gives us the strength inside to ultimately get off the suffering merry-go-round. So the two of these things work together. And they work together because, as I said a little earlier, we come to this place for a reason. The soul is sent to this place to learn something. Now, it took me years to learn what the soul was sent here to learn, And when it finally became clear to me, I recognized how to transform suffering, pain, difficulty, and every other level of life, success and prosperity into a spiritual life. And as Rudy said, and I've said it many times, he told me, he said, it's not to have here. It's to have success, a nice place to live, clothing, good food to eat, a decent income every week or every month. At the same time, it's not to have, it's to have all these things. And at the same time, to be free of them. And that is, you understand the triangle. We embrace life and all that life has to give us. And then we are, centered in the chakras and below the navel and the rest of the system. And we're connected with spirit. So it doesn't become, in order to have a spiritual life, you got to give up everything. Well, in a sense you do, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Love it. Love the success you have. Enjoy the success you have in life. Not be afraid of money and things like that. And the way you are not afraid of these things is you're connected to higher energy. And you realize that your sole purpose of being here is to learn how to transform everything that you learn from this planet, the karma that you work out, into a spiritual life. And you do that, you'll treat your family better, you'll treat your friends better, business associates better, you treat everybody better, Because what comes out from an open heart and expresses itself as love, compassion, understanding, patience, forgiveness, etc., etc. So I hope this is clear, A lot of people teach this whole thing of having to give up the world, No, you give up the world by learning how to live here and be free of all of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, how often have I said it? To me, ashrams, churches, synagogues, mosques, those are not the temples. To me, the temple is life. All of these other places you go to to learn how to sit, to get strong enough to sit in the real guru, which is life. And when you learn how to do that and embrace life, it provides. It really provides for us. It doesn't mean we stop working. We have to work. We have to do our service and work in the world. But it provides, because we have finally recognized that everything that manifests in this world is sacred. And everything that manifests in one way or another is our teacher. What we need to do to learn, to build an inner life that gets us closer to God. And it's, if a person doesn't have all that, it doesn't matter. Whatever your life is, you have to be grateful for whatever it is. And to realize that every little thing in life is a treasure. It's sacred. Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask?
Stuart, can you talk about the extremely challenging aspects and the connection to the sacredness there, or to view them as sacred while they're happening?
Yeah, Wendy, I talk about this all the time. Look, when I was younger, there were a lot of things I was afraid of in life. And the biggest one was money. I really had some compulsive thing in me about not wanting to have money and success and all those things. And I remember, in order to get over it, I threw myself into an awful lot of outrageous situations, which huge responsibilities, huge challenges. And again, I would sit down every day and I'd go where I had to go in order to get the energy to succeed at these things. And you know how much I learned and overcame in myself by doing that? I would tell people this years ago, they said, what are you, nuts? You just went and bought $175,000 worth of Asian art to sell in Denton, Texas. It was unbelievable. The very thought was unbelievable. And I said, no, I'm going to learn how to do this. And it might not, and eventually became a way of me starting and having on a very good level when I moved back to New York. You understand? It wasn't for Texas. It was because I knew at some point I would have to move back to New York. And I would need some kind of income in order to live. And I had all this art. I opened the gallery. It was successful from day one. So, these are big challenges. I've had this all my life practically, taking on challenges like that. And, and I always did it because I knew to succeed at them, I would have to grow. I would have to get to God to give me the strength and the energy to succeed at that. These material challenges gave me a spiritual life. Because the only way I could succeed at them was, first of all, I had to overcome myself, this fear in me of success. And secondly, I had to go to a higher energy to get the energy to do it. And my whole spiritual being evolved and grew that way, by kind of jumping in the middle of the ocean and then trying to find land, Now, I don't suggest people run out and do this. I had a very unique, I was kind of unique that way. I did it, and it worked. And the only reason it worked is that I went deep enough in myself to find a connection with God. How do you think that ashram got built in Denton? You know, I mean, how the hell, who would ever, what are you, nuts? I went to the bank. They thought I was crazy wanting to build something. I said, no, this is going to, and they gave me half the amount of money that I needed. And I said, okay, I'll take it and I will do this. And it worked. I got the money. So a lot of these big, money thing, material things that I did, it forced me to go to God. It forced me to go to a higher place. I had many people I was responsible for. I had to do the work to make these things work. It's been, most of my life has been that way. So big challenges are not negative, they're good. It just depends upon what you are ready to do in your life. Are you ready to sit down and take upon yourself a huge responsibility and go to the place where you can get the energy to succeed at it? And getting to that place is a simple job of breaking oneself down. Breaking oneself down to make more and more room in yourself for spiritual energy to be there, to thrive. So challenges like that are, again, I don't recommend everyone going out and doing anything. I mean, I had unique circumstances and I was a little crazy, It's like when Rudy said, my famous story, buy that building, the shopping center, for God's sake, small shopping center. At 600, I went and bought it. We had a great restaurant, successful, it was really kind of a wonderful thing that grew out of that. Excuse me. But the responsibility of doing it was huge. And it was so much above my capacity at that moment that the only way I knew I can do it was to tap the source of creative energy. Every class, every time I sat down, I went deep enough in myself to tap that source of energy and to make it a permanent part of my life. So challenges, there's nothing wrong with them. It just depends on what you are ready to do at any moment, given time in your life. And for me, one of these big challenges led to another one and another one and another one and another one. It was unbelievable. And trust me, I was very tired sometimes doing that type of intense inner work. So what I suggest is you really tune into your limitations. You find out what you're really capable, and then you do a project that's a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And this way you build the kind of muscle system I'm talking about.
So Stuart, that was really great on so many levels, that answer. Thank you. And the other aspect of that is in relationship to relationships. Like in relationship to, let's say family members with pretty intense emotional or mental imbalances. How are you applying a similar thing?
I used to go into Rudy's store a lot. I mean, really every other day, every day, sometimes I would go in there to sit and do work with him. And I'd be sitting there and he'd be fighting with his mother, you know? I mean, I'm sitting there and at first it kind of upset me a little bit. And then I said, no, Stuart, take the Shakti, how you can take it. However it comes to you, take it. It's just energy. And then one day I'm sitting there and he said to me, Stuart, I couldn't pay a therapist $500 an hour, you know, to find out the things I need to work on than my mother gives me for nothing every day of my life. So we completely turned it around. And he recognized that, okay, you know, whatever she is, she's my mother. I have to love her. I have to listen to her. I can't be upset by her. And she was tough, Rudy's mother. She was not an easy person, you know? And, you know, and he did that. And he taught me that. And when I learned that, my whole relationship with my family turned around. You know, I mean, I was the person they refused to talk about in the family. Well, they talked about me all the time, but I was the black sheep running around Europe, going to India, gurus and yoga, you know. I mean, they were very, I mean, very middle-class people, you know, living in a very narrow world. And the world I lived in was so expansive, they couldn't deal with it. And at first I completely rejected it. I ran away from it. I wanted nothing to do with it. And later on, I realized, Stuart, you got to love your mother. My father died when I was 16. You have to love your mother. And it doesn't matter what she says, what she does, you have to love her. And boy, did it make me grow. It really made me grow. And then one day she called me up, I want to come to your meditation classes. I'm telling you, you talk about working out karma, sit here and do this work with your mother or your father. It's karma. But it only came because I grew up and I was no longer intimidated by the negativity I used to be intimidated by in my family. I got strong enough to deal with them without allowing them to make me crazy, you know? I also learned from Rudy, you know, it's your parents and children, you know? Cousins, uncles, aunts, you know, you can get some distance from them, but you have to love unconditionally your parents and your children. And doing that demands growth. You have to grow inside yourself. Because there's nobody on this planet who doesn't have a closet full of baggage that they carry around with themselves. And almost nobody has any training, any spiritual development, you know? And one can't judge them according to what one's own belief system is. You have to listen to them and learn, you know, where the pain is inside them, the openness is, the love, you know, and then just love them unconditionally. And I know it's not easy. It wasn't easy for me. It wasn't easy for Rudy. But he learned how to love his mother. Brought her gifts all the time, jewelry. She was very big for jewelry, you know. And it was a great education for me watching him do that. And when he passed, I became very close with his mother. I was actually very close with her all the time. And, you know, when I go up to New York, she would let me stay in Rudy's bedroom. You know, she said, "You're the only one I'll let stay here, Stuart." And the same thing happened with my own mother, you know. I used to take her out every Sunday. She'd come in and come to meditation. The people in the meditation, let's treat her like a queen. It was unbelievable. They would fawn all over her and do anything they could do for her. It was really extraordinary. So all of that is part of growth. And in order to do what I'm talking about, you need to get bigger inside. You need to really grow inside to where none of that bullshit that people give off, it just bounces off of you. And it's again, back to the question earlier, you know, connection with God, higher energy gives you that kind of strength. Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Stuart.
Hi, Soren.
Hi. I was curious who is kind of showing up and doing work on me during meditation. And then I was at an import store and saw a little statue, and it turned out to be Garuda. Is there anything you can tell me about Garuda?
Garuda was the bird that Vishnu used to fly on. And Vishnu was one of the great gods in Hinduism. So that's about as much as I know about them, you know. But the Nepalese and the Indians, the Hindus, would create statues of Garuda. And they worshiped Garuda. They worshiped that bird because that was the vehicle, one of Vishnu's vehicle, and Vishnu was the preserver. Shiva was the destroyer and creator, and Brahman was the totality, whatever it was, and Vishnu was the preserver. He sustained the world. And the Garuda was just a vehicle. Shiva used to ride on a cow, and you go to India, if you ever hit a cow in a car, they'll put you in jail for 10 years. I mean, really. I remember once I was driving through Delhi with a business associate of mine, and we came to this boulevard, and there was an entire herd of cows right in the middle of the city, taking up the entire road. And the only passageway was one that would just let one car after the other get by. You know, if this was ever in New York City, it would make front page headlines. And in India, it was just, you know, you don't hit the cow. You know, whatever you do, you don't hit the cow. They are sacred. Garuda, you know, birds are sacred, monkeys are sacred. You know, so the Garuda is just a manifestation of the bird that Vishnu used to fly on. Now, I'm sure you can go look it up. There's a much deeper research involved and many more symbolic elements to Garuda than I'm talking about now.
It said something about war and violence, and I thought that was a little bit intense. Oh my goodness.
Well, that I don't know about, Soren, you know. I don't know. I mean, it might be a bird that he would fly on to slay negative energies and, you know, stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, Shiva had a female counterpart called Kali. Kali used to hang out in cemeteries. I mean, I once had a statue of Kali that was so astounding. I mean, she looked so tantric in this. I mean, she was like, in the sculpture. And it was a manifestation of Kali as the cemetery goddess. You won't ever see it. It's in the Berlin Museum. I sold it to the Berlin Museum. The woman couldn't believe her eyes when she saw it. She said, oh yeah, I'll take that. anyway, you know, just put Garuda in Google, you will get a whole education, you know?
Sure, yeah, yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to?
Stuart, I have a question, kind of about what you were talking about, putting big burdens on yourself and working them through with the building and the stores. A lot of my work that I do, it's like mental work, it's like editing and it's like painting. So it's kind of like almost delicate, and I find it's challenging to work with a lot of stress. So I'm wondering if you have any insights on how to work with those like.
Oh no, but Zach, you know, when I did all that, one thing I had to master in myself was the stress. Because as soon as the stress took over, I couldn't do anything. So everything had to be done with clarity, with a lack of stress, with, you know, I don't know, you just, oh, there you are. You know, but as soon as the stress took over, I mean, it's the same thing. You know, look, you paint paintings, I write books. If I allow my stress to interfere with, you know, with the writing of a book, it will, you understand, it will destroy the whole creative process. So it's a matter of getting centered and mastering the stress so that the creative energy can flow. And that can create, you know, whatever it is you're working on. But as soon as stress gets involved, it just clogs up everything. It's what creates writer's block or any kind of block of that nature. Getting back to it, that's why I keep telling people, build an inner life that is strong enough, connect with higher energy, and that energy will flow and it will create your life. It'll nurture everything in your life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, I just have a few announcements. I can't have a class tomorrow. I have to go to have that eye treatment, you know, and when I get that, I can't, it's impossible to do this. But there will be class on Wednesday. And, you know, it takes about 1 day for this whole thing to go away, the treatment. And also on the, you know, on next Saturday, I'm going on a vacation for 7 days. I'm sure there will be classes. I just have to figure it out wherever I am. I don't know if there'll be as many classes. I'm trying to get a rest. I really am. I need to rest. I mean, but I'm sure there will be classes. There will be a class on Sunday when I get back, which is what, on the 13th. And there probably will be classes during the week, but I just have to figure it out. And on the 15th, as of the, you know, beginning that week, I'm really open to having in-person classes here. Whoever wants to attend them, they're welcome. Again, I have only one consideration, you know, and that is that people have to be vaccinated, and, you know, and again, I don't want to get into, I respect people who don't want to get vaccinated. You know, that's your situation, your life. And I'm not here to tell you how to live it. But I know I went to the Cloisters Museum yesterday, and to get in there, you got to show a vaccine card, you had to show identification. It was really extraordinary, you know? You had to wear a mask. You know, I don't want it to be that way. If you're vaccinated, you can come here and not wear a mask. But I just want to make sure that I don't get that sickness and that nobody that comes here gets that sickness. So, again, I respect people's choices and how they want to live. And I will never say, look, this is stupid. You live as you live. But I'm really open to doing, it'll be hands-on healing work. It'll be meditation, and it'll probably be at least 4 days a week that I'll do that. I'm looking forward to it because it gets very profound and it really makes the growth process happen a lot quicker. So that'll start that weekend of the 15th, the week of the 15th. And if people want to come, just get in touch with me and you're welcome, I can't have more than 5 or 6 people here at once because the place isn't big enough to handle that. But, that's plenty of people. And if people want to come, they're more than welcome. And I will be more than happy to, try to provide the deep spiritual work I can provide for them. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, well, thank you. Bless you all. As I say, God bless you. If your presence here has done so much to help me grow that I can't feel anything but gratitude to each and every person that attends these classes. So God bless you all. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. And there will be a class on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.